So my name is Matt Hotsinpiller. I work in the English department, and I help folks over here in the nursing program with this Plato Learning software. And Plato is online software. It's self-directed, and we'll get to that in a second. I've given you a sheet of paper, and what I ask is that you pretend you don't have a computer in front of you for the next 5 minutes, and we'll just work through on the sheet of paper the basics. Then we'll go online. I'll show you where I've basically created a website that's just this sheet of paper online in case you are like me and lose this soon. You'll be able to go online and find it. And then finally, I've created an account for each of you in Plato. We'll have you sign on, go in, sniff around a little bit, and while I'm in the room, hopefully we'll find out whatever makes you uncomfortable, and we can work through it before you leave today. If you look on the front of this page here, I've given you my name and my email address. And you are welcome to contact me anytime. It's almost impossible to bother me with questions about Plato. I'm pretty good at getting back to you. I've given you the address for the orientation website. There's a real easy way to get to it, and I'll show you. And then Plato, where you'll be doing the actual work, is just www.platoweb.com. Now, there are a couple tech issues before you get going. They're very simple, but they're very important. One is you need faster than dial-up internet connection, so hopefully you've got cable. Whether you're using PC or Apple, you want to use Explorer, and hopefully Explorer 7. Safari will work, Netscape will work, but they both have glitches. So you'll get in and everything will seem fine, and all of a sudden something strange will start happening, and you'll say, Matt, what's going on? And I'll say, I don't know. And it'll turn out that you're not using Explorer. Plato has optimized their software for Explorer, and the more you use it, the less problems you'll have. And then finally, this is the bugaboo that gets everybody. If there are 10 people in the room, one of them eventually emails me and says, help, I can't use the software, it's not working, and it's because they've got pop-ups blocked. When you go in and use this, you have to enable your pop-ups because the software is all pop-up. And if you don't enable your pop-ups, you'll just get the front screen, it'll just stay there, and it'll be confusing and frustrating. And you'll email me and I'll say, did you enable your pop-ups? And you'll say, oh. So enabling pop-ups is a big deal. There's one more tech issue, and we'll deal with that once we get online. There are some plugins that are required, and I didn't even know what that meant when I started, and I figured it out. So it's very simple to do, and I'll show you how to get to the page where you can download those and access that. So when you go to platoweb.com, and please don't yet, but when you do go there, there'll just be one field the first time you go, and it asks you to put in a number, and the number just says, hey, I'm from Santa Monica College. And I've written the number down for you here. It's the account number. You just type that in. Ding, 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 ding. We've only purchased 30 seats on Plato. So right now we've got 125, 130 students using it. And if more than 30 want to use it at any given time, they can't. So it's really important to keep the number to yourself, and when you're done with your session, to make sure you log off. Or if you're like I am and you go and get a glass of wine, it's important to log off before you go, or you'll keep people from being able to work on it potentially. So that's the first number. You press send after you've entered that number, and you come to the next screen. And the next screen is your personal information, letting the program know that it's you. I've just entered your first name and a space and your last name. Your group name, actually your group name will be ESP. If you want to scratch out that SMCR, it's ESP. That's what you'll enter there. And everybody's password is the same at this point. It's 1234. And if that bothers you, you just drop me an email and let me know. I can reset it for you. But for right now, when you first sign in, it's 1234. All right, everybody with me so far? Okay, so I'll talk for a minute about the software. I've assigned all of you something called Fast Track Math. And Fast Track Math comes with an assessment test up front, which is both horrible and wonderful. It's horrible because it can be tedious in that it starts at a relatively elementary level. But the good news is, if you'll battle through it, then the program knows exactly where you should spend your time and where you shouldn't. It'll assign for you the areas where you're weak and let you not do the areas that you're already proficient in. So it's worth however long it takes you to do the assessment test up front. Your time afterwards will be much more efficient. And the assessment test, I've got it here on the page. It's just that. It's important that you finish the assessment portion first. Don't help yourself, please. I've walked in on people taking the assessment test, and they've got the math book open so they can remember the formulas. It defeats the whole purpose. So the point is to do an honest inventory of where you are. So, and likewise, I wouldn't undershoot it, hurry through it too much, because then down the road you're going to be working on things you already know, and that's not an efficient use of your time. So give the assessment test a good honest go. Each lesson thereafter, once the computer knows your level in math, each lesson thereafter is in 3 basic parts. First, there's a tutorial, and the tutorial will be a pop-up, and you'll get a little lecture, and generally the answers are provided for you during the tutorial. And you get through it, and you go through it again in the lesson, and in the lesson this time you have to give the answers. So it's basically the tutorial over again, only this time you're expected to supply the answers. And then finally there's a mastery test, and the mastery test is just what it sounds like. We're looking for 80% proficiency to know that you've mastered that section of the work. You get 3 chances at it. After the 3rd chance, you're locked out, which doesn't really matter to you folks. Just email and say, hey, Matt, something happened, I'm locked out, and I can unlock it for you. Now, what I recommend is even after having done the assessment, maybe there's some parts where you feel, hey, I already know that, or maybe I'm not quite sure if I know that. Just open the tutorial so that the program knows that you're looking at that section, and then go take the test. Use one of your 3 tries. And if you get an 80% on it, you probably do know that material, and probably don't need to spend the time going through the whole lesson. If you get lower than 80%, then sure, go ahead and dig in and study the lesson before you take the test again. And it's that simple. I can't tell you how long each thing takes. They all vary, and you'll see when you get to it. This will start at, I think I'll have you start at addition of fractions, and it goes all the way through as far as you want to go in math. I mean, assuming you're not getting a PhD in physics, it goes all the way through to, we'll have algebra, trigonometry, and maybe even a little calculus. So there's plenty in there. Now on the back side of this page, I've given you some troubleshooting clues. As I said several times, you're always welcome to contact me. But if it's something technical, I'm not a computer guy, and I'm going to contact Plato. So if you want to cut out the middleman, I've given you their contact information, and I've found them so far to be very, very friendly. If you just drop them an email to the site I've given you there, they'll get back to you, and they're pretty good about it. If you're uncomfortable about that for any reason, then just send it to me and I'll send it to them. It's not a big deal. But you're probably adding a day or 2 to your answer time if you go through me, because I've got other stuff going on. So, now, as I said before, it's important that you exit properly and log out when you're done with your lessons in case anybody's waiting to get on. There are 2 ways of doing that. One is to hit, you'll see in a little bit, there's a little door in the lower left-hand screen most of the time. It's just an exit door. You press on it. It says, do you really want to leave? You say yes. It saves the work to that point, and you can stop anywhere at any time, and it saves your work to that point. The other thing you can do if you're more a computer person is just hit F10, and the same thing happens. It'll take you back to your assignment screen, which is your home screen, and then on the left-hand side, there's a little log out button. Click it, and you're done. And then I've included some of the frequently asked questions that I've heard on here. Most of these are not a problem anymore. Any questions so far? No?